Next, a CBS 2 special from Iraq. New York soldiers come under attack on the streets of Baghdad, but they are risking more than just their safety. Their income and their families take a hit as well. These men and women are reservists called to serve an entire year in the war zone. I'm Brendan Keefe in Kirkuk. Today, we bring you the stories of New Yorkers putting their lives and their livelihoods on the line in Iraq. Hello from this former Iraqi military base in Kirkuk. I'm Brendan Keefe. The Iraqi Air Force and Army are gone. Now this is home to the 854th Engineer Battalion, headquarters support company from New York. They are reservists who've left their families and their civilian jobs back home to spend at least a year as active Army soldiers in Iraq. Today, we bring you their stories because we joined them on that dangerous journey here, meeting them first in the desert of Kuwait and then joining them on a convoy through the heart of Iraq. A waitress from downtown Brooklyn, a construction worker from Bay Ridge, and a Manhattan carpenter.
He set up a decoy. To slow you guys down.
Those jobs are now 6,000 miles away and concealed beneath a layer of Army camouflage.
We don't shoot as often as the regular Army does, and now we have the opportunity to do so.
This is more than just basic training. Soon these reservists and their weapons will be crossing the border into Iraq.
Enemy!
Amen. There's no front line, so to speak. I mean, there's no such thing as a safe area.
The New York soldiers launch mock attacks against each other, simulating an insurgent ambush.
Contact left!
Shooting from moving vehicles at targets, because that's what the Iraqis are doing to us, so we have to be trained.
Contact left, gunner!
Contact left. To do it to the enemy.
These soldiers are training for the convoy, a 3 or 4 day run through the heart of Iraq, a run that many other soldiers have not survived.
That is going to be the most dangerous mission we have. It's a 4-day mission. It's going to be a long, exhausting, frustrating commute up there.
Bang, bang! Bang, bang! Bang!
This training is important because this is a unit of engineers.
We're soldiers first, engineers second.
I'm the person with the most firepower.
The unit had to scrounge for the heavy weapons and extra steel plating they will need for the convoy.
We have to come back tomorrow and get the 50 cal.
Barely 2% of all Army Humvees in Iraq have protective armor. When engineers don't get the armor they need, they make their own.
Look, we mean business. We're here. We're going from point A to point B. Don't mess with us.
Tomorrow we drive. Tonight we putt. This is not a late-night football game. It's a training mission to master depth perception while wearing night vision goggles. Inside the command tent, unit leaders plan the convoy route, while in their tents, the soldiers learn not how to take a life, but to save one.
That's priority number one, is getting everyone back in one piece.
1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year. That's the traditional commitment of the U.S. Army Reservist. But now nearly half of the 138,000 troops serving in Iraq are from the National Guard and Reserve. Headline or horoscope. Deployed here during the deadliest month since the war began, the soldiers read about what lies ahead and think about what they've left behind.
You go from living your life the way you were, normal mundane routines, going to school, going to work, everything, and then all of a sudden, hey, you're a couple thousand miles away getting shot at. It's a big difference.
I felt like they called me, so I had to come.
Desiree Gouchard left her twins back in the Bronx, 2 boys who just celebrated their 6th birthday without mommy, too young to understand she's half a world away.
I don't think they really understand, because when I call home, he's like, are you coming back Saturday, Friday? And I'm like, no, but he constantly asks me over and over again. So
that's gotta hurt.
It does.
The occasional email from home or the rare telephone call to the States can be both heartwarming and heartbreaking.
Wife's accepting it. I call her every night.
Ultimately, I signed a dotted line. Nobody held a gun to my head.
Sometimes I wake up and I think I'm at home, but then I realize that I'm here.
Some of the reservists face another kind of battle at home, a war with creditors, as their civilian income drops to that of a soldier.
We have a few soldiers who are self-employed and they're risking bankruptcy.
A lot of people are losing a lot of money, but they just do their job. That's what we're here for.
They have the armor, they have the weapons, and now they have the training. Next, the New York soldiers cross the border and meet not the enemy, but the starving children of Iraq. Then, Baghdad attacked.
It's like a BQE with RPGs.
The convoy is hit, and the New Yorkers are pinned down on the worst stretch of road in all of Iraq. Good news, half the unit will be able to fly in relative safety from Kuwait to Kirkuk. But how will their vehicles get here? The rest of the unit will have to drive the dangerous route, some behind the wheel, some behind the machine guns protecting the convoy. We chose to ride along with them.
I'm ready to go.
This is it, the convoy. Helmets on, body armor fastened, weapons ready. The commander salutes his troops, and CBS 2 photographer Greg Sutphin climbs aboard our armored Humvee. Next stop, Iraq.
That highway looked a lot different the last time I traveled it.
Sergeant John Walsh was here for the first Gulf War, the notorious Highway of Death, where retreating Iraqis were gunned down before reaching the border. Our GPS unit shows us approaching that line in the sand. We have just crossed the Iraqi border. The weapons are loaded, trigger fingers are poised just above the trigger guard. This is where our dangerous odyssey begins. Specialist Terry Roche, the Brooklyn waitress and our machine gunner, is ordered to test fire her saw gun. Soon she is pointing that weapon for the first time at real live people.
It is weird. It is weird. But then you gotta think, it's either them or me, and it's not me.
Many of these New Yorkers have never even driven a car. Now they find themselves on the most dangerous highway in the world.
Car bombs must exit.
Then there's women and children on the side of the roads, and you have to really decipher which one is the one that's out to get you, and that is stressful.
The children are everywhere. Some wave, others salute. At first it appears they're just happy to see the troops. But then you see their real motivation, hunger.
Being a father, I guess seeing the small 2-, and 3-, and 4-year-old children standing on the side of the road, begging for food and water.
After we cross the Euphrates River, a desolate dirt road lined with even more starving children.
For at least 3 miles, there were children on both sides of the road.
They're everywhere. You don't know who's who.
Some soldiers can't take it and toss out food and candy, but the guns stay right where they are.
Always. Any vehicle, any person, any kid, anyone that comes across, it's always fixed on them.
All roads lead to Baghdad. There's virtually no way for the New York reservists to avoid driving right through the capital city. And we soon discover why soldiers call that stretch of road RPG Alley. Sunrise in the middle of Iraq. After spending the night sleeping on top of the trucks, we're told exactly where the day will take us. Baghdad.
Basically, you gotta go north-south. There's only so many ways you can go, and the bad guys know that.
The scenery along the highway doesn't calm any nerves. A convoy driving back warns us of the danger we face ahead.
All the scorch marks and the vehicle bodies that were left that were just completely burnt out. It was almost like you were going into the gates of hell.
We are now just a few miles west of Baghdad, in between Abu Ghraib prison and the city center. This is arguably the most dangerous road in all of Iraq. Tanks and soldiers are everywhere. Signs in Arabic warn the highway is closed, but Iraqi vehicles crowd the road anyway. Somehow, in the confusion, we miss our turn to the north.
We've got to change the direction there, and we're working on it to get us all.
The mistake is bringing us closer to downtown Baghdad, so the convoy commander decides to make an emergency U-turn.
No, we're kind of heading like west. Now we're going to turn to the north. You'll see it.
Russian roulette. We could be lucky, and nothing's going to happen, and then everything could happen.
It does.
Shamrock, through one to that. Hey, get that weapon right!
Our convoy was just attacked by an RPG. That's a rocket-propelled grenade. It was fired just a few vehicles ahead of our Humvee, just as we entered the city limits of Baghdad.
It's like a BQE with RPGs.
We kept speeding up, and then we heard another one go off, and when we felt that second one go off, I felt the back of the trailer pull to the right side.
The RPG blew a hole in the side of the truck, and shrapnel took out several tires. This is what was fired at our convoy, a Russian-designed, Iraqi-built RPG, or rocket-propelled grenade. Shoulder-fired, it's very simple to operate. Just aim and shoot.
Shamrock, which direction did the RPG come from, do you know?
The shot came from across the highway, and the U-turn probably saved our lives. The insurgents were waiting to launch an ambush by the exit ramp, where we would have been trapped in heavy traffic. Instead, the attackers were forced to hit a moving target, firing between the two trucks behind our command Humvee, hitting the truck just 5 vehicles ahead of us.
Keep moving that gun back and forth, gunner.
We're in a very vulnerable position right now in the outskirts of Baghdad. The convoy has come to a complete stop. The RPGs are behind us, and potential enemy fire is ahead of us. It's a very uncomfortable and dangerous position.
The danger about standing still is you're an easy target to hit. The enemy can reposition, especially if they know we're going to be here a while, and we've been here a while.
Pinned down in a Baghdad slum, the same truck gets hit by AK-47 fire, and Sergeant Ferguson is hit.
It felt like a sledgehammer in my back, and that's whenever I told myself, well, I had been hit.
The bullet hit his flak vest and deflected.
They're calling you the luckiest man in Iraq today. What do you think?
I believe I am, and with the grace of God, I believe that that's the reason why I'm still here.
No one was injured in the Baghdad attack, but the convoy is not out of danger yet. Next, a mortar attack makes for a sleepless night. Then, a flat tire brings the convoy to a halt in the middle of hostile territory. Don't go away. Rule number 1 when convoying through the war zone, keep moving. But a convoy can only move as fast as its slowest vehicle. So what happens when one of those trucks becomes disabled? Balad Air Base. Sirens warn of an incoming mortar attack. So much for getting some rest after the Baghdad ambush.
It was going on all night. Like the alarm's going off every like 20, 30 minutes. You hear the boom, just sleep through it.
The next morning, we find this bus peppered with shrapnel, its windows shattered. Fortunately, no one was inside when the mortar hit.
Just remember your battle drills. If they're shooting at you, shoot back or we keep going.
Soldiers from the battalion's Alpha Company, including a Manhattan firefighter, have joined the convoy as escorts.
We're going to go fast and we're going to go tight. Key here is to not slow down. We own the road.
American tanks are on their way in as we're on the way out.
Truck 1, this is 06. You copy. We've got a flat tire, over.
One of the Humvees blows a tire, but intel shows this area is a red zone with high risk of attack. An order is given to keep driving.
We're not going to have a choice there, 06. That tire is gone, and it's gone. We're on our rim right now. Okay, we're pulled over now.
A flat tire is never convenient. It's certainly not convenient in enemy territory with people all around who may be trying to kill you. That is why they have formed what's known as the box, a protective area with all guns pointed in 360 degrees direction.
You're kind of making like a temporary stockade.
Everyone had to be pointing their weapons outward and scanning, looking for a possible enemy while just changing the tire.
Like a pit crew at the Indy 500, the soldiers race to change the tire.
The flat tire really caused quite a bit of panic.
An Army helicopter arrives just in time, providing air cover for our disabled convoy, while photographer Greg Sutphin and I take cover under a flatbed truck.
I don't know about you guys, but it was nice to see that chopper.
Let's go! Get out of here! Let's mount up!
All that training in Kuwait has paid off. The convoy is protected without a single shot fired. Nothing the soldiers have seen so far could prepare them for what they find in Tikrit, Saddam Hussein's luxurious palace, now in the hands of coalition forces.
It's right in the town of Tikrit. When we hit the gate, we're going to be going straight into it. They don't stop you at the gate. You're going straight in.
Tikrit, Saddam Hussein's hometown, and home to one of his most opulent palaces.
It's like Disneyland.
The New York soldiers discover this island of wealth amidst a desert of misery.
Like the Queen, I feel like the Queen.
Every turn reveals yet another palatial building.
Oh my God.
And I saw his old palace
And it was like, you gotta be kidding me. And then I saw the new palace that he was building, because I guess he slept in every room in that palace, so, okay, I've done that, I gotta go build a new one.
This is just one of Saddam Hussein's palaces in Iraq, but it was perhaps his most important. That's because this palace was in Saddam's hometown of Tikrit. Now this building on the palace complex is the headquarters of the 1st Infantry Division, United States Army.
It's so beautiful there, and while we were so happy to see something so beautiful, like it's refreshing to see something that beautiful after seeing the rest of Iraq, it's kind of sad seeing children eating garbage and then turning in and seeing a beautiful palace with a lake and waterfalls and mansions.
He gave up all this.
A blue lagoon and dozens of lavish guest houses are surrounded by a giant wall built to keep the poor citizens of Iraq from seeing how Saddam was spending their nation's oil wealth.
There was children running around with no diapers, no clothes on, while he lived basically in luxury and lavishness.
The 1st Infantry Division has dubbed Saddam's palace Camp Danger, perhaps to scare away rival army units. When we come back onto Kirkuk, the last leg of the convoy brings the unit to its new post and right into the middle of another mortar attack. Welcome back to Kirkuk, Iraq. The road here was long and treacherous, but the airbase too is surrounded by the enemy, just outside this wire. And the soldiers learned their new home is also a target.
Hi, sir. Good to see you. Good to see you.
The convoy finally arrives in Kirkuk, 611 miles, 82 hours, 0 casualties. The soldiers' home for the next year, a Soviet-built concrete bunker in the shadow of Chemical Ali's castle. Each of these bunkers was designed to protect a single Iraqi fighter jet. Now they protect up to 53 soldiers sleeping inside. Ironically, those soldiers owe their lives to bunkers built for the Iraqi military.
I'll try this at home.
The New Yorkers go to work, customizing their living space.
We affectionately call our bunker the Bat Cave.
Part of the reason why there's no windows in there. When you go in there, it's dark. So you don't know if it's 10 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock at night.
U.S. Air Force airmen actually found one of these Russian-made Su-17 fighter jets inside the bunker. Surely the Iraqi pilot who flew this plane had no idea that one day American soldiers would be sleeping inside his hangar. While we're taping on the flight line, Iraqi insurgents launch a mortar attack. The first round sets the grass on fire, while the second lands close to our bunker.
They're talking mortars for landing about 100 meters out. When you have a couple of feet of concrete around you, that's a pretty good thing.
There is a real threat here. There's a very real threat here.
And there's protection. F-16s patrol the skies over Kirkuk, constantly taking off right over the bunker.
Well, I grew up near JFK Airport, so I'm used to airplanes in and out. The Concorde comes in.
The engineers have their own volleyball court, and when the sun goes down, the lights come up, and the game doesn't stop even when mortars are flying overhead. The blast can be heard day and night.
At the same time, while it's like we're safe here, we're not really all that safe because we get mortared like every other day.
Here on this former Iraqi military base, this is all that's left of Saddam's army. But that was last year's war. This year's enemy is much harder to fight, much harder to find. And this is the result. Another mortar attack launched on the base in June. The resulting grass fire ignited a bunker storing captured Iraqi munitions. While the explosions were spectacular, no one was hurt. First, the soldiers had to defend themselves against Iraqis trying to kill them. Now they have to learn to work alongside Iraqis trying to help them. And their fear is replaced with something totally unexpected: respect. Building a new Iraq, building new relationships.
4 of these. You want 4? 4 of these.
4 of these ones.
Oh, you want 4 of these?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sergeant Joyce, our Manhattan carpenter, is making fast friends with his Iraqi counterparts, despite the language barrier.
Araba 3.
Araba 4.
Okay, all right.
The Araba 4, I think it's 4. I don't want anybody back home in America to say,
No, it means something else.
Our former enemies are now our partners in the reconstruction.
It's good work and good business to make with them, and we like to do that.
But this Iraqi supervisor is still afraid to show his face, fearing for the safety of his family. Working with the Americans is considered risky business. This mural in Kirkuk shows the image of Saddam Hussein replaced with the image of Uncle Sam. To Americans, it's a symbol of democracy, but to some Iraqis, it's a symbol of the occupation itself. The insurgents believe they've simply traded one oppressive government for another. If the war in Iraq is being lost, this is where it's happening. Iraqi workers were ordered by another army unit to chisel a Muslim prayer from the wall of a commander's office.
I feel it could have been handled a lot better. They shouldn't have got native people to take off their own religious symbol.
Building roads is the mission. Building trust is the challenge.
We can just change it just a little bit in one person. Maybe that one person will talk to 2 people, and so on and so on.
Photographer Greg Sutphin and I spent only 1 month embedded with the 854th Engineer Battalion, headquarters support company, but we were made to feel like members of the unit. Now we get to leave Iraq to go home and see our families while they continue their mission here. But we will be back. CBS 2 has made a commitment to cover the New Yorkers' deployment here from beginning to end, because this is but one chapter in their incredible story of sacrifice. In Kirkuk, Iraq, I'm Brendan Keefe. Happy 4th of July.
I just want to say hi to all my friends and family back home and let them know that I'm doing okay and that I'm going to be okay over here.
Hi Lois, I love you very much. I miss you, and I miss my son Alexander.
I miss everybody in New York City. Coming home soon. Take care.
Eli and Jared, be good boys, and I know you will be, and I'm proud of you. You helped Mommy, and don't think too harshly on my haircut, love, okay?